Yeah, and again, I mean, we don't even know if death actually exists. We know it exists in a rough form of an idea. Like, we're no longer able to perceive those individuals in the way we perceived them before.
Yeah.
You know, so somebody famously like Socrates, who, you know, was sentenced to death and then chose to drink hemlock as part of his punishment, you know, mockingly said, not mockingly, but to the people around him, you know, he said, "To fear death, gentlemen, is no other than to think of oneself wise when one is not, to think one knows what one does not know."
Yeah.
I think that's spot on. We cannot know what occurs after death. So to put a value judgment on it seems almost like a moot point. To call it good or bad, you're basically claiming to know something you absolutely cannot know. 110%. But we do this constantly and consistently. And I don't think it's inhuman to put values on death. I would say it's extremely human to put a value system on death, because it's a change. It's when things change.
Yeah.
And we're very uncomfortable with large, drastic changes most of the time. More subtle, nuanced, changed things we don't realize that are occurring. Even functions happening right now in your body. There's change occurring. You're aging. You're okay with these conceptually because they're so small. But when somebody dies, specifically when you have a relationship with somebody and they die, that's when you have a huge impact on your value system of it either being extremely good or extremely bad. But when somebody dies that you don't know, for the most part, most people, I think, have a detached view of it. They might say that's sad because they know in their value system death is sad or negative, whatever. So they'll just say it's bad. But they don't communicate in any meaningful way that actually shows they care. You know, they're almost just virtue signaling to remind other people, yes, death is a bad thing. And again, it's something none of us will escape, ever.
Yeah. And
so I think that's the fallacy of most value systems when surrounded with death.
Right.
And that's why I think Socrates, what he did was, you know, elegant in that way, even though it was suicide.
Right. And, you know, that's based on our inability to perceive anything after death, right?
Yeah.
But also, I think, for the most part, for a lot of people, I think their fear is due to largely due to the notion that life is worth living. You know, life is great, life is precious. You know, they know. I think most people would agree, other than some, you know, minor cases where, you know, people are very desperate, you know, trying to commit suicide, you know, things like that, right? I mean, but for most people, I think they would agree that life is precious, or at least they value life itself, right? I want to have a good life. Life is precious, right? I think the fear of death largely comes from that.
True.
Because the life ends, right? The thing that you consider precious no longer exists anymore, right?
But they've never experienced the opposite of that situation.
Sure.
So they're only operating from the place of a known. And when you only have a known, you can only operate in one way. Right? So we just don't have anything to compare it to. So to me, it's no surprise that most people are going to be life affirming. How could you not be? That's all you've ever known. Except again for these outliers. And again, people that have suicidal ideation or tendencies. I think most of those come from a place of having great difficulties and tragedies in their life, or, you know, mental illness and other things. But there are I imagine a vast minority of people that have it all put together and have arrived to the conclusion that suicide is the best option for them.
Yeah.
And that's potentially true for some people.
Yeah.
But whoever's listening to this, that's an extreme minority. If you're suffering from ideation and those types of things, it probably does not apply to you unless you've gone through every process to get help and things like that. And look, I'm even basically continuing to idolize a value system that I don't know the opposite of. You know, I'm still being life affirming even right now to remind people. But I'm not doing it because I think death is a bad thing. I'm doing it because I think life is so powerful and a great thing. And the experiences are so worth having that I would encourage anybody that's going through anything to try and better themselves. Or, you know, that's a poor word choice, poor term, but try to find the joy and value in life so they can get more out of it.